Carolina from alwaysexpectmore.com, and today we're on block 7 of our Quilty 5K. That's almost, just barely, not quite, a third of the way through our Quilty 5K, and I'm so excited. Now, if you haven't had a chance to go check out the PDF from last week with block 6, you totally should, because I've been adding extra coloring sheets, and these extra coloring sheets are awesome because they actually use multiple blocks. So this one uses blocks 2, 5, and 6 to make a whole quilt, which I can't wait to color in and share with you on Instagram. So check out the coloring sheets, and I hope that you'll share the coloring sheets with me on Instagram as well as your finished blocks. Today for block 7, we're doing the variable star block, and it looks a little like this. Are you ready? Let's get started. For our variable star block, we're going to go ahead and start our cutting. We need 4 2" by 2", 1 4 3/16 inch square, and 2 2 3/8 squares. So what I like to do is cut the largest piece first, which is 4 3/16. 4/16 is going to be a quarter, right? So 3/16 is going to be right here. I'm going to line up across the top, do my 3/16, and then cut my 4 3/16 inch piece. There we go. Okay, so I need to cut a square from this. I'm going to go ahead and cut off both my selvages just at the same time. Now I have a spot that I need to cut 2, and I need to cut 4. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut 2 of these 4 3/16 inch pieces, and that's so that I have an even end here to continue my cutting. So 4 1/4, back it off a bit to get my 3/16. Lining it up across the top, lining up across the 3/16. So I'm going to put one with my scraps and keep the other one. And then I need 2 2 3/8. So I'm going to cut 2 3/8, which is 1/8 less than a half. Spin this around. 2 1/2, 2 3/8. There we go. And then I have 4 2 by 2s. Now this is 4 over 4 inches. So I can just cut one set of this, one 2" strip off this, and then subcut it into 2 2" sets. And that gives me a nice big piece that I could always use later. So 2 inches and 2 inches. Okay, now some of these do need to get cut down into triangles. My 4 2" squares are fine. These two, however, need to get cut. So the 2 3/8 actually get cut in half. And these will actually be the points that go around the outside of the center square. And then my large piece gets cut in half and then in half again to make 4. And these are going to be the base pieces for our flying geese. There we go. So now I have all my green pieces cut, and I'm going to move on to my yellow. I'm going to start with my 2 5/8 inch pieces. So 2 4/8 is a half, so 5/8 is 1/8 more than a half. There we go. I can put this away. I'm going to trim off those selvage pieces. And then I need 1 2 5/8 inch piece, and just like before, I'm going to cut 2 pieces because that's just going to keep my edges flush. Keep one, put the other in my scrap. And then I need 4 2 3/8 inch pieces. So 2 3/8 is actually 1/8 less than a half. So 2 3/8, and I need 4 of these. So that'll be 2. I have to trim it down. 2 3/8. That's another 2. And then I'm going to trim them down this way. So 2 3/8. And because this was 5/8, I should be cutting off 1/4 of an inch if I'm doing it right. And the reason that I'm measuring this side, the large piece, instead of measuring the 1/4 inch and just cutting off the 1/4 inch, is because I want to make sure that this is as close to 2 3/8 as possible. It is possible that I could have miscut earlier, and this would fix that miscut. And also, you always want to protect the piece that you're wanting to use under the ruler, because then if I were to kind of lose my cut a little bit, it doesn't matter if I mess that piece up. I can straighten up my cut and then it's fine. But if I did it the other way around and I cut into my good piece, well, then I'd ruin it and I need to cut another one. Okay, so I have 4 of these, and each of these is actually going to get cut in half on the diagonal. So let me go ahead and do that. There's one set. And the other set. And there we go. I have all the pieces that I need for my variable star. We have our block all laid out, and if you look, there's lots and lots of space in between, and that might have you worried at first, but all of this space is just because of seam allowances, and we're going to have lots of dog ears to trim away, so don't worry about that just yet. You can lay it out if you want, but you don't have to. What you do want to start with is your largest triangles, and we're going to take these large triangles and to each side of these large triangles, we're going to add the small yellow triangles. So that's all we're going to do at first, is just large triangles and small yellow triangles. And what that's going to do is that's going to create these pieces here on the sides, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, all of this will be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to put together. If you remember the last block, the squared diamonds block, we have diamonds that have been squared, and if you look at the centerpiece, that's exactly what we're doing here, is we're squaring up this diamond. So we can make, these are our flying geese, and we can make our squared diamond, and once we do that, we'll just have 9 pieces to put together, just like a regular 9 patch. So these we won't need until the very end. I'm going to put them out of the way, and these will be attaching shortly. So let's go ahead and start with our flying geese. Take a square, add a triangle, and you're going to notice that you're going to have a big tail, a big dog ear hanging up over the top of this, and that's totally fine, totally normal, nothing to worry about at all. So we're going to then add 4 triangles to our 4 yellow triangles to our 4 green triangles in this way. And now we'll want to press each of these triangles out towards the yellow. And then we're going to add on the second triangle in the same way on the other side. Okay, now we're going to take these over and press them the other side. And you can clip off all of these dog ears, both on the sides and across the top. So now we need to make our squared diamond, which is also sometimes called a square in a square. And we're going to stitch 2 pieces on, press it open, stitch 2 pieces on, press it open. If you want super detailed instructions, you can go to last week's block, which was the squared diamonds block. Or I'll give you a quick refresher. We're folding our triangles in half and we're folding our square in half. By folding the triangle in half, we can get that midpoint to line up down here and the point up here. And then we're going to stitch across there. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold this one in half as well to do the same. I can clip these dog ears. And now I can do the same, adding these pieces on the side, these pieces on the other sides. Since I pressed, and I'm also going the other direction, I don't have a crease anymore, so I'm going to crease it in this direction, and then I can just line up that point and across the bottom. So I can press this, cut off my dog ears. So now when you lay out your block, it should make a lot more sense and look a lot more like an eye patch. So let's look. Everything's lining up a whole lot better than it was before. Everything seems a lot more the right size and there aren't whole lots of giant gaps in between, which means that we've done a pretty good job. All right, this last bit is pretty simple. I'm going to stitch these 2 together, these 2 together, these 2 together, and then bring it back, line it back up, stitch this piece on, this piece on, and this piece on, bring it back over here. When I press, I'm going to press towards these green squares because you always want to press seams towards where there's no seams. And since there's seams here, I don't want to press it back towards itself. I want to press it towards the non-seam square. So these will get pressed out. These will get pressed out. You've got seams going on both sides here. So since these are getting pressed out, I'm just going to press these ones in. That'll allow me to nest my seams when I stitch this one together and this one together. So let's go ahead and start our stitching. There we go, just 2 seams away from finishing. I have to stitch this seam right here, putting these 2 together, and this seam right here, putting these 2 together, and then I'm all done. Now these seams, there's really no great way to press them. So out is usually the best choice when you're pressing seams. I know so many rules about pressing seams. It's like an I before E except after C. But in this case, out is a good choice. So there we go. We have our variable star block complete. That's block 7 of our 22 blocks in the Quilty 5K, and that brings us to just almost a third done with this series. Isn't it fun that the variable star block is just basically a fancy 9-patch? Super simple to put together. And I love, love, love different star blocks. If you are making these blocks with me, I hope that you will share them with me on Instagram, #Quilty5K, and you'll also be able to see the different blocks that I'm doing, the different versions that I'm doing on there, as well as other people, and some sneak peeks as I work ahead on some of these blocks. So make sure that you follow me at @CraftMore on Instagram and share your blocks with the #Quilty5K so that I can see them as you work on them. And give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, although I'm sure you have. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so you get all of the crafty updates. And if you have any questions or comments, always leave those down below. I love, love, love when I get notifications of comments here on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.